Hi, folks. Welcome to Crisco's Corner. Unfiltered commentary. And not your truth, the real truth. Please like, share, and subscribe. And as always, thank you for your support. Hi, folks. Welcome back. From the Daily Wire. This is a great article. And it's also informative of what's going on in our country at the same time. Greg Gutfeld, the new undisputed king of late night. But late night comedian talk show host routinely brings into a total viewership more than Fallon, Kimmel, and Stephen Colbert. I'll tell you the truth, Jimmy Fallon used to be a funny guy. They all were funny guys at one time. I don't know what the hell happened to him. Let's read on. Who routinely attracts an average of over 2 million night after night, including the 25 to 54 demographic, so highly coveted by advertisers. Yeah, those are the people that spend most of the money in the country, that age group. The answer is none other than Greg Gutfeld. Since the end of Letterman, Leno, Conan, and especially Carson, the late night setting has become far more political. Few have managed to navigate this area so skillfully as Fox's insightful class clown. They're all class clowns. Letterman, Leno, they are all lefties, my understanding, but they didn't really push it, especially Johnny Carson. Johnny Carson was the master. In part, you tell really, really bad jokes on purpose. How he carried himself, self-deprecating is the key too. You don't take yourself too seriously. You're there to entertain people and be the class clown. That's in essence what Carson did. And when he stopped, late night took a huge hit. I know he mouthed himself after Jack Benny. Johnny Carson did. And when Jack Benny died, they say Carson just broke down in tears. He was just crying. He couldn't stop. He loved Jack Benny. And then you see the old videos with Jack Benny. He's very much like that. Self-deprecating humor. It's just amazingly skillful what they do. And these idiots just don't want to do it. It's why in the world, if there's a late night talk show host, would you automatically alienate half the country? Right out. Right out. It's amazing to me. Now, there's some conservative people that watch those guys besides Gutfeld. Yeah. But there was a niche in the market. Now, let's read on instead of listening to my ramblings. Like many in his position, Gutfeld's a 20-year overnight success. I like that. 20-year overnight success. Over the course of his career in media, he's worked as a writer for various publications doing prevention, Men's Health, and Maxim. He also was a contributor to the Huffington Post, of all places, where he became, according to his website bio, legendary for his inspired lunatic ridicule of his left-wing fellow Huffers. Yeah, he went after Cenk Uygur and Ariana Huffington, and he was funny. Sometimes bizarre, but funny as hell. His tongue-in-cheek remunerations on HuffPo that drew the attention of the Fox News Channel and earned him a first gig hosting a very late-night panel talk show called Red Eye. Now, I didn't watch much Red Eye. Once in a while, even though I thought he was funny. From 2007 to 2015, Gutfeld grew his flock of viewers, including yours truly, including enduring bouts of insomnia, could tune in weeknights after 2 a.m. During his conversations among an electric collection of comedians, media figures, pundits, and a former CIA officer while discussing the day's events. During that time, Gutfeld honed his craft and carved out a niche for himself as Fox's comic, yet sharply observant personality. And that's the thing. That's the thing. We'll use Dave Chappelle. You ask Seinfeld, all the big comics, they refused to go on college campuses. College campuses were a huge, huge audience for traveling comedians, people that did the circuit. And they're not going there anymore. Comedians are the canary in the coal mine that something is wrong. In this case, something is wrong with the culture. And that's alarming. If people don't think that's true, they're not paying attention or they're too close-minded to see it. In 2011, Gutfeld was an obvious choice to be part of Fox's new daytime panel show, The Five, which is a very popular show, which gave him exposure to a broad group of viewers. Unlike The View, where they have their, it's hard to explain. I used to be a small businessman. I sold my business last year. And what's happening to these shows like The View, late night talk shows, they're getting a larger percent of an increasingly shrinking market. It's a formula for disaster and doom for all of their shows and the networks and their investors and advertisers. They just don't see it. Having collected a loyal following of millions, Gutfeld was tapped as Fox's perfect point man for the competitive late-night talk show space and to go head-to-head with the more established programs than mainstream networks. Pulling double duty once again in 2015, became the host of The Great Gutfeld Show, which aired at 11 p.m. I watched that. It was a great show. He took off, and in 2018, Fox announced The Great Gutfeld Show had attracted over 2 million nightly viewers, effectively beating the mainstream networks in their own backyard, who spend tens of millions of dollars in advertising and publicity and pay these late-night talk show morons tens of millions on top of that. Gutfeld Show overtook so many established figures with years of exposure and support from networks that for decades dominated the late-night show airways, just destroyed everybody else. And he took it over in less than a month. Perhaps success lies in the fact that Gutfeld and his sponsoring network Fox simply identified a hole in the marketplace and filled it. Yeah, a huge, gigantic hole. Like half the country. It wasn't like some niche that nobody saw because it was so small. The niche was huge. And these morons in the West Coast and in New York especially live in that bubble of New York City, Los Angeles mindset. They have no idea there's 50, 60 million people that can't stand them, and these guys have alienated them and aggravated them. Who's going to want to watch a show that people that hate you, hate how you think, hate how you lead your life? Same with advertisers. Look at Netflix now. They've lost hundreds of millions of dollars. All of a sudden now they send out notices. Well, we're not going to be so critical and more open-minded. The simple fact of the matter is people are waking up to the fact they were simply not going to take our time to watch your show, or more importantly, on pay streaming services, give money to people that hate us. That's over. There's no criticism the show has steadily gained popularity during the Trump years. Indeed, the timing of his show's launch was perfect, and it was. Many of us following remember the days when talk show hosts Johnny Carson and successor Jay Leno came in our living rooms every night with one goal in mind: to entertain as many people as possible. As many people as possible. Not your woke, bullshit, idealistic view of things, through laughter. When the politics did enter the fray, it usually is one of the more elbow to the ribs kind. Think of Johnny Carson's impersonation of Ronald Reagan, which always became lighthearted with every sentence started off with, well. And he did, and he was funny. Reagan was on Johnny Carson a bunch of times. So were a lot of Democrats. And he poked fun of them. Not meanly, not personable, but he poked fun of them. And it was funny. And everybody, even if you didn't like Ronald Reagan, you thought it was funny. And even more importantly, if you did like Ronald Reagan, you thought it was funny. But with the ascendancy of Trump, the late night talk shows became a tax on the man that over 62 million people voted for. You can't alienate that many people and not expect a pushback. Every night for years on viewer turning into Colbert, Kimmel, and to a lesser extent Fallon, was subject to nonstop Trump bashing. It was vicious, relentless, insulting, and worse, it most certainly was not funny. But funny is no longer a requisite for late night. If they could pay, boy, I'll tell you, if one of these networks, maybe they found Greg Gutfeld. Maybe he's the modern version of Johnny Carson. He doesn't take himself too seriously. He comes up with some bizarre stuff that's really comical. I remember when I was young, watching Johnny Carson when they used to bring the animals from the L.A. Zoo there. My God, that was funny as hell. In the expressions he made and how he handled himself, it was great. He didn't take himself too seriously. It was amazingly funny. And his sidekick Ed McMahon, I mean, it was great. Absolutely great. He was the blueprint. He was the design for successful late night talk shows, and these morons threw it all away just to appease their own egos in the small circle of people they deal with. Colbert and Kimmel saw their late night platform not as a stage from which to entertain, but rather a podium to blast their far-left politics and Trump derangement, while cloaking themselves with many saw as obnoxiously self-righteous sanctimony along the way. Yeah, couldn't agree more. Yeah. Let's read that again. But rather a podium to blast out their far-left politics and Trump derangement, while cloaking themselves with many saw as obnoxiously self-righteous sanctimony along the way, and telling people that they want to win the view, we hate you, we hate what you think, we hate how you lead your life. The alphabet networks, I like that expression, I'm going to use that from now on, made a conscious decision to go only after the Trump deranged left-wing viewers, and thus had no problem insulting and alienating a huge swath of the population in order to grab and hold on to their narrow target audience. That's right. And as anyone who suffered through childish monologues could attest, if you hated Donald Trump in particular, or the GOP in general, or even anyone who was slightly right of Che Guevara, you found all your reinforcement material you needed in the acid bath of apathy that came spewing from your screen, courtesy of hosts who were told they were supposed to be comics. And actually were at one time in their careers. Greg Gutfeld and his band Irreverent Humor has provided a home for those who wish to tune into late night to laugh again. And they want hosts who do not take themselves too seriously. That's the key. Don't take yourself too seriously. Self-deprecating. To borrow a metaphor from Michael Lewis, Gutfeld's offering was a fire hose sprayed upon millions of thirsty urchins. Looking back on the need for this yin to the alphabet network's yang was so obvious that one would be surprised if Fox hadn't made such a move. And who better yet than Greg Gutfeld, funny, flippant, both satirical and self-effacing, to be the right man for such an undertaking. Like its rivals, the Greg Gutfeld show is political in nature. No doubt if you are pro-Trump, you would feel at home. But unlike the others, it's also entertaining and even gets this now funny. Even if you're left, you'll watch because it is funny. Go figure, right? Making people laugh. In a way, the show is even more entertaining because it takes no pretense about being pure comedy. Like Gutfeld himself, his show is a product of the right. A staunch libertarian, he goes after targets that are sacred political cows, the other networks, chiefly Joe Biden, the Democratic Party, and the far left. By presenting a panel of pundits and personalities, a la Red Eye Off, of whom he bounces ideas and jokes, one could argue that Gutfeld is not so much the right answer to Colbert at all, but Bill Maher. Yeah, that's true. However, one wishes to categorize Gutfeld's unique late-night offering. He has stepped in to pick up the low-hanging fruit that the other networks, too blinded by ideology, either failed or refused to see. You cannot alienate so many in the market without someone else seeing the opportunity. That's true. People stop viewing somebody that hates them, and they stop buying the advertiser's products because they're not watching the show. And whether you love or hate Fox, they have clearly done it again. Gutfeld is another arrow in the quiver of conservative libertarianism response to the wokeness that Americans are tired of being forced to endure in that search for the elusive laugh or interesting conversation. In the process, one can truly say that there's a new king of late night on the throne. And as Gutfeld might observe in his aim to keep things light and irreverent while making a larger point, where better do one's most profound thinking and deepest remunerations than while sitting on the throne, he said. Yeah, absolutely. Couldn't agree more. Couldn't agree more. And he did it in less than a month. They say they found a niche in the country. More than 60 million people voted for Donald Trump. And there's several millions more that still like Gutfeld. But these morons in LA and New York and their woke world just don't see the rest of the country. And if they do, they hold them in contempt. And conservative people, libertarians like Greg, are waking up. Stop giving your time and attention and your money to people that hate you. Those days are over. Until the next time, goodbye and good luck.